Hey traders, Jeffrey here with Strategic Day Traders. Great to be back with you. We are going to do a recap of our results this week. And for all of those who were in the webinar yesterday that we did with Financial Juice, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a deeper dive into what we do. And for those of you that had a chance to watch it even in the recording, by all means, I'm happy to have you. And if you'd like some more information, feel free to get in touch with me directly. You can email, and I will put the links for our free Telegram channel in the description down below. Please like and subscribe to these videos so you get notified of our weekly results. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. We had another good week. And of course, before we get started, as you all know, all the information provided here is for educational purposes only and is not an offer or a recommendation to trade futures, stocks, options, or Forex. So just as a quick reminder, I view the Forex pairs as well as gold and oil from a parabolic price movement perspective. This is the typical chart that I like to look at the end of the trading day. That means when the New York session closes, after the global sessions have all finished. I usually do an analysis that takes into account global currency strength, the movement of the pairs, the news that has happened and is about to happen, and I review all 28 pairs and get a bias, and the strongest of those biases are the ones that I will look further into putting a trade idea signal out in my private Telegram room for entries, exits, and take profits. Once I have selected the pairs that I'm looking to trade, then I'm looking at price movement from a parabolic perspective, going from extremes of this outside envelope to the opposite end of the envelope. So I'm looking for pullbacks to bounce off of supply or demand zones, as you see here. I'm also looking at overbought and oversold conditions. And once I am in a trade, I'm looking for continuation of the trend based on extremes in the Williams percent R. So for example, on this chart, it's easy to see how this nice strong uptrend corresponded to having been oversold, moved right in, and we stayed in the upper area of the channel throughout the run of the longs. Now, for those of you that are in my group, you know that these are some of the indicators that I use. It doesn't matter what platform you trade on. I give tips on how you can trade on your preferred platform and copy your trades to any of the other platforms, even to prop accounts. So for more information on that, feel free to email me directly, or by all means jump into the live Telegram channel or into the group to join. And when I look at my charts, as I said, I'm looking for entries, not just at the market price when I release my signals, which are usually between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern, but I like to try to maximize my profits by looking for the pullback and the movement from end to end. Now, sometimes the market tells me, go ahead and get right in. So I may choose to take an entry at market and forfeit the possibility of a pullback. But if the market is moving very heavily and there's a lot of volume and a lot of momentum in the direction, and we've already seen either an overbought or oversold condition and have a good supply or demand zone, then I will often jump in at market as well. Here are what the signals typically look like in my private Telegram room. So, for example, from a few weeks ago, in the 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern hour, I would have released these signals. This particular one, the Aussie yen, for example, I suggested an entry at 95.802 with a stop and a target. My targets are high probability targets. You can just input those and look to get those hit. They can be anywhere from 10 to 20 or even 30, 40 pips, and those are usually pretty quick. But if you're still at your computer, by all means, use your discretion. move your targets, let them run, and move targets up to the next edge of a supply or demand zone that looks like it's appearing. And here's how it played out for this particular pair. We got our pullback entry. Our first target got us a 46 pip quick high probability profit, and then we had a second position on for an additional 36 pips for a total of 83 pips altogether for the one trade over that 4 to 6 or maybe even 8 hour period. And if you only traded half a lot, that was a quick almost 300 bucks. So as I said, this is what my typical signals look like, and those of you that join my private group will get these every day. We start when the market opens, analyzing at 5 to 6 p.m. Sydney time. That's the first session that opens. Then we move into the Asian session or the Tokyo session, London and New York for the double London close and New York open session. Here's a typical trade that played out. So for example, if I release my signal right around this time, which is approximately 7 p.m. Eastern, you see prices right up around here. We're looking for a clear bias for a continuation of this short. We got our pullback, entered right about here, and then continued up a little bit. If you were in front of your computer, you easily could have moved your entry to the inside edge of this supply zone and gotten a little bit more profit. But I was no longer at my computer. This was 3 a.m. Eastern time in the U.S. So we went ahead and got this entry automatically. This came down by 8 a.m. Eastern time. I was pulling my target all the way down to here to maximize this particular trade for an almost 97 pip total for the first target. And then, of course, it continued on. Here's what we looked at this past week. We had some significant movement and some big momentum moves at various hours of the day. So that's one thing that I'm going to point out to all of my members. We're not just looking at the U.S. Economic reports that come out at either 8:30, 9 to 9:30, 9:45, 10 U.S. Eastern Time. We're looking at the global economic reports as well. So for example, on Tuesday this past week, we had Canadian CPI at 8:30 in the morning, okay? We didn't pay too much attention to this UK news, but later in the day, in the late afternoon, New Zealand had their CPI. This was a big one. The UK had a CPI at 2 a.m. U.S. time, okay? We had unemployment or labor results at 8:30 p.m. This was also one that we were careful to look at. Huge momentum candles that invalidated our trades. It was unexpected results. I was looking at the analyst consensus, and it actually came out unexpectedly in the opposite direction. So we quickly, knowing that this was coming up, elected not to get into those trades because they went in the opposite direction. And then on Thursday, we mostly had our U.S. news where we had some labor news as well. Here's how we did all together. We had about 4, 6, 10, about 18, 20 trades overall, about 600 pips total. And if you were trading a micro lot or half of a full lot, here is what you could have gained. These are just sample amounts. I personally don't trade just on flat lot sizes. I will adjust my lot sizes to the individual pairs and often trade with a maximum loss per trade so that I can enter all of my trades, know what my total loss would be if everything goes south, and maximize my risk tolerance. That way, that works best for me and for all of you who are interested in more information on that. Feel free to reach out to me, or it's actually one of the things that we discuss in detail on our weekly sessions for my members. So here are a couple of examples. So for example, on the 13th, we had this New Zealand dollar Japanese yen trade. That's right up over here. We got right in. This was a long at 99.23, so That was a pullback. We got our pullback right over here, and then slowly worked its way up and took our target right up towards the opposite end. And then as soon as we got a pullback right over here, we were out of the trade because it was already in New York time, and London was about to close. So I didn't want to take a chance that this would drop off any further after the London close. And then on the, let's see, same day we had the Aussie yen trade right over here, where we were taking a look at a pullback very close to the time we got in. Looked like for this long we were immediately going to turn right around, and actually it wobbled a little bit, but then we had a nice run straight up here, hit our target, and then took our runner off right after this candle closed, just as it crossed the linear regression moving average. That's one of the ways that I like to follow a runner. Sometimes I'll just move to break even, and we'll be out for our second trade. If it's break even, sometimes I'll attach that runner to the actual indicator, or just do a trailing stop by price or by the indicator itself. And then one more, let's see, on the 14th, we've got the pound Swiss franc. And in this case, as you can see, we got in on our long at 12560. So we had our nice pullback right over here, pulled back around, and we went up and wobbled a tiny bit here, got right out, and then as we were getting into the middle of the New York morning session, got right out as well, right over here as it crossed. And lastly, on the 17th, let's see, we've got the pound yen, and this was a great trade, a total of about 60 pips altogether. On this long, we got in right over here at our pullback. Came down a little bit further, but if you weren't in front of your computer, you weren't able to grab a hold of that, and got right out for our first high probability right around the time of some news at about 3 a.m. U.S. time. And then as it came back down, took our runner right off over here, as I said, for about 60 points on the trade. So just an example of some of the great trades this week. And going into next week, we have a couple of interesting pieces of news coming out. Canada is going to give their interest rate statement, so that's a mid-morning Wednesday economic report. And then on Thursday, in the overnight, we've got a lot of manufacturing economic news. Okay, so the French, the German, these flash services will often affect the euro. So we're going to be looking at the euro and the pound in the overnight Eastern time hours on Thursday. So we're going to be careful with these pairs. On Thursday morning, we've got U.S. economic labor reports and the U.S. manufacturing as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then lastly, remember, we've got some time shifts coming up this Saturday evening to Sunday morning. So for those of you that are adjusting their clock so that they can follow the different sessions, keep in mind the time shifts coming up. That's about it. I'm glad to be with you again. If anyone is interested in more information, feel free to email me, as I said, and we'll be happy to have you jump in the room. If you'd like some more information on the group, or you'd like to take a look at what the Telegram signals look like, definitely join the live Telegram channel. As I said, I'll put a link down and below. I hope you all have a great rest of the weekend and a good trading week coming up. We will see you in the next one.